a job I'd hate to have. I had just used this poor woman's lab coat as a Kleenex. My mascara is smeared all up and down her arm, and while she couldn't tell me exactly what was wrong, I knew something wasn't right. You see, I had just finished a mammogram and ultrasound, which, let's face it, is pretty much unheard of for a young, healthy mother of two. The human Kleenex, she tries to comfort me, saying, "Sweetheart, call someone who can be with you and head straight to your doctor's office. He has the results." 30 minutes later, hand in hand, my husband and I get the news you never hope to get. "Kelsey, you have cancer. I'd need a bilateral mastectomy, 25 rounds of radiation, and 8 rounds of some of the most aggressive chemotherapy out there." Now, clearly when you're going through cancer treatment, the priority is to live, and spoiler alert, I'm still here. But next comes dealing with all of the medical interventions and their side effects, one of which is hair loss. We've seen the good wigs, the bad wigs, the scarves, the beanies, the ball caps, and of course, we've seen people rocking those bald, beautiful heads. For some, it's no big deal, but for me, the thought was nearly crippling. Was it vanity? Sure, maybe at first glance, but here's the thing. It's about so much more. Imagine going to the grocery store. It's business as usual, except you. You're completely bald with no eyebrows or eyelashes, and those bags under your eyes just won't quit. People dart their eyes or they flash you that pity smile. And this weird thing happens. You know when you're pregnant and complete strangers feel like it's okay to come up and randomly rub your tummy? Well, the same thing sort of happens when you have cancer. I mean, I'm sure it's with the best of intentions, but complete strangers will come up to you and ask you the most insanely personal questions or even tell you about a loved one that they lost. Like, it's not okay for me to ask you about that ugly Christmas sweater you're still rocking, so no, you may not ask where my eyebrows are hiding. But then, you go to grab the milk, and you catch your reflection in the glass doors. It almost guts you when you realize that the stranger staring back is actually you. The young cashier tries not to stare, and all you want is to talk about the weather. Getting back into your car, you figure, next time, it'll be easier to just stay home. Losing your hair is brutal. But even more challenging is the loss of anonymity, your privacy. You walk out the door and people know you're sick. This deeply emotional and private battle, it becomes common knowledge without you even having the choice. It changes how you see yourself, the actions you take, and you feel completely out of control. I had this other worry. What about intimacy? I had already lost the ladies, something that helped me feel connected to my femininity, but now my hair, would I still feel attractive? Would I feel like I was enough? With my entire sense of self being stripped away, how would I show up as a mama? How would I show up for me? Remember that trip to the grocery store? That thought of maybe next time I'll just stay home, it begins to creep into more areas of your life, making it easier to withdraw, to stay home, to be alone. You guys, this is the exact opposite of what we need in cancer treatment. We need strong social supports. We need joy. We need laughter. So imagine if you didn't lose your anonymity. Imagine if somebody could go through chemotherapy and still keep their hair. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, and it's in that box right over there. I didn't spend years waiting for my hair to grow back because I never lost it. One sleepless night, I got sort of lost down the Google rabbit hole, and I found this. This is a cold cap. When it's on, it sort of looks like one of those old football helmets. On chemo day, my mom and my mother-in-law would place each cap into a large plastic bag, strategically layering 5 different caps into a cooler filled with dry ice, making sure that all of this pink gel inside was exposed. Now, the goal was to bring the temperature of my scalp down to minus 30 degrees Celsius, constricting the blood vessels and hopefully reducing the amount of chemo drugs absorbed by the hair follicles. Now, the hair does a pretty good job of protecting the scalp from the cold, but the parts that are exposed are susceptible to major frostbite, which I unfortunately learned the hard way. It was because of this that I discovered the major life hack of sticking a panty liner to my forehead underneath each cap. I know, I look cute. The first cap would go on an hour before chemo, and this one was always the worst. Major brain freeze, but from the outside in. I'd need to be left completely alone, closing my eyes, doing anything I could to take my mind somewhere else. My mom and my mother-in-law changed the caps diligently, every 30 minutes, sometimes for up to 12 hours. That's 24 changes. It became their mission, giving them something tangible that they could actually do to help me. It gave them a purpose. It gave us something we could focus on. More importantly, it gave us something that we could control. Because of those caps, I'd roll into that grocery store, and nobody knew. People actually talked about the weather. And then I'd see someone who did know, and they'd say, "Oh my gosh, Kelsey, you look so good. You look healthy. You look strong." And this crazy thing began to happen. I kind of started to believe it. It almost becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy where you hear it, you believe it, but then you become it. It creates a shift in how you approach your entire day, where instead of withdrawing and pulling away, you feel like you might just be okay. Because I believed I could, I continued to move my body at yoga, take my boys for walks, keeping my hair and not seeing myself as sick. It created this ripple effect that continued to fuel me as I healed. Now, making it through 8 rounds of chemo is one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. There was no doubt that I was a cancer patient with both visible and invisible scars. But on day 99, when I rang that damn chemo bell signifying my last day of treatment, I did so with a smile on my face and a full head of hair. I wanted to share these feelings of empowerment with as many women as I could, and so we fundraised and purchased additional caps. And we continue to lend them out to as many women as we can, completely free of charge. Now, can I guarantee that my cancer won't come back? No. Will cold caps work for everyone? No. While there is so much uncertainty that comes with a cancer diagnosis, it's easy to underestimate just how much power you actually do have. So remember this. We can choose whether we use cold caps or not. We have the option. And when we have options, it puts us back in the driver's seat. And while we can't always choose our circumstances, we can choose how we decide to show up. And that is how we step into our power. Thank you.